Hello, Roy.
Hello, Michael.
Hi. Start off with a bit of disappointing news. Obviously, you must have seen the Burnley flag last night. Great words from Ben Mee. But did it show last night that more needs to be done?
I think people are working very hard to do as much as they can possibly do. This is a rogue act, isn't it? I feel very sorry for Burnley, for the club, for the people of Burnley. I'm afraid there will always be rogue acts, and they have to be dealt with when they occur. But it just reminds us that there is still work to be done, and that there are still people out there who don't sympathise with the cause like most right-minded people are doing.
Let's go on to Palace now. Can I share Martin Kelly, Jeff Schlupp and James Tompkins will still be unavailable tomorrow?
Yes, they're unavailable for a period of time, I fear. So we're working hard to try and improve their chances of playing, but at the moment, nothing has improved in the course of the last 3 or 4 days to make them available.
How proud of you were you of that performance on Saturday? BBC One. It was great to see, wasn't it? Given the time frame you've had out, and to produce a performance like that.
I'm really proud of the team's performances throughout the year. And we've had some tough moments, not least of all when we had an incredible injury crisis. We have a bit of an injury problem at the moment. We had a real crisis in the middle of the season, yet still we battled on and got the points which kept our head well above water. So I think it's tremendous that the players are getting some sort of credit for the season they've had. It was nice to start off in that way, and nice that people recognise that we are capable of playing some very good football. But it doesn't surprise me, because I see them playing that type of football in training and in matches. And I think that the season we've had so far is a tribute to the work that the players have put in.
Fantastic in the league. It's great to see the table. 9th on 42 points, above Arsenal now. 8th could be Europa League football next season, depending on Manchester City's case. Are you possibly thinking about it, Roy? Will the players be thinking about it?
Well, there's no reason why they shouldn't, but as I've said on many occasions, I get a little bit bored repeating it myself. I think this is a period of time where you are going to need quite a few players. You're going to need to be able to rotate, and you're going to need to be able to deal with the injuries that are going to come up. Sometimes not massive injuries, but injuries which will keep people out of games. My only concern for the team is that in certain areas of the field, we don't have the cover or the amount of players that we might need to really push on and make that concerted effort that's going to be needed to reach a European place. But having said that, I've seen Wolves play virtually the same 11 for long periods of time, and what's more, take on more matches than the rest of us have played. So we could be very lucky, and if we can keep the 14 or 15 senior players that we have fit, then I would believe we'll have a chance.
It's strange, obviously, we are in June, and some clubs are looking at next season as well. Do you have the opportunity to maybe speak to Doug Freeman? This is who we need. We need a few more maybe for next season. Can you think about that now, or is it all just thinking about this season?
No, well, that's an ongoing process, isn't it? I mean, that goes on throughout the year. It's not suddenly a sort of a curtain is drawn and you get together and decide, right, now we're going to plan for the future. It's a constant planning here, and what's more, with Steve Parish and Doug Freeman, it's also planning for the stadium and for the academy, which are also two very important projects that the club has. But no, we're very much aware of the need that the transfer window's upon us, and we need to try and make some concrete decisions, perhaps with regard to the areas where we think we need to strengthen or at least help our squad out, and what type of players that we've been watching will be the right ones to try and bring in.
Finally, from me, I'll speak to you shortly. Neil Warnock, back in management. He said in 2007, Palace would probably be his last job, but there he is. He's back and he's at Middlesbrough.
Yeah, well, I'll be the last one to make any comments on that, but I'm obviously I wish him well. He's done such good work in so many clubs, and I can understand why a club, when they think they're in difficulty, turn to Neil, who's a very experienced man and has got a proven track record of helping clubs A, get out of relegation zones, and B, get promoted into higher divisions. So I wish Middlesbrough well. I feel sorry, of course, for the manager who's lost his job, Upson. But I mean, these things, I suppose, happen. Not Woodgate, isn't it? Sorry, Woodgate, Donald Woodgate. Feel sorry for him, like you always do when a manager loses his job. But it's a fact of our life, and I'm not surprised that they've turned to a man of Neil's experience, and I'm not surprised either that Neil has changed his mind in terms of retiring. He obviously feels he's still got years to give.
Thanks, Roy.
Thank you. We'll now go to Adam at Premier League Productions.
Hi, Roy. Nice to see you. After 4 straight wins, just how much will the team be relishing facing Liverpool?
I think you relish facing Liverpool and Man City, not because you think this is going to be a game where we'll have an easy game and great chances of victory. I think you relish it because it proves to you that you're at the very, very top level in football that you can reach here in England. I mean, these are the flagships of our league, not just those two, but they're in that bracket of teams that are the real flagship of the Premier League, and you relish playing against them because it means that you're still there and you've given yourself a chance of getting a result against them. But you don't relish it in the sense that, we're going to go there and find it easy and we'll be able to play our football comfortably because we know we're playing against a team that's won the league this year, deservedly so, and has played such wonderful football in doing so.
What kind of test do you expect in an Anfield that'll be empty?
I think that, obviously we've talked about that quite a few times now. There's no doubt that Jurgen Klopp and the players would have much preferred to have played us in an Anfield that's, full of 60,000 spectators roaring them on. But I think we've all come to terms that that's not going to happen. But nothing changes in terms of the quality of the opposition, the quality that Liverpool have, the way they play, their organisation, their determination also to keep going, despite the fact they've had the league title in their pocket for quite a while. Nothing's going to change there. People sometimes argue that it's easy to play an empty stadium. I don't know. It's going to be, for me, it's as it always is, 22 actors on the field, each trying to do his best to try and get a result, and that's all I can hope for from my team.
A lot of people talk about Liverpool's front three and the threat they pose. What about your front three? How much of a threat have they become as a trio?
Well, they've got better, there's no doubt about that, during the course of time, and I do think there is a threat there. And it's a threat, of course, that you do need, because at the end of the day, 4 matches are often won by individuals at either end of the field, despite all the fantastic work that goes on in the midfield to create the chances and to stop the other team from scoring. But matches are finally decided by goalkeepers and people making fantastic blocks in defence and by players up front scoring goals. And Liverpool have been exceptional in that sense this year. They've conceded very few goals and scored many. And so our job's going to have to be to try and keep them at bay.
Just finally for me, Roy, on Jordan Ayew, 9 goals now. What are your thoughts on the impacts he's made? He's made a massive difference, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been very good. I think Jordan's a player that we took on loan last season and made his move to us permanent by buying him this season. And I've just seen a constant improvement in his game. He's always had a wonderful attitude, a tremendous desire and intensity and aggression to his game, which is very, very commendable. But now I think he's fitted in better and better as the time's gone by with his teammates here. And moreover, of course, he's started making certain that a lot of the good work that he's been doing is now being crowned by him scoring goals or making goals. And I've got to say, if we could keep him and Will fit the form that they showed alongside Benteke on Saturday night against Bournemouth, then we will be in for some interesting games, and I think we will score some goals.
Thanks, Roy. Good luck.
Thanks,
Thank
Adam.
you.
Okay, we'll now go to Pete Stevens, BBC.
Good afternoon, Roy.
Hello, Pete.
How are you? All right.
I'm fine, thank you.
In Jurgen Klopp's excuse me, post-match press conference on Sunday, he called Crystal Palace a well-oiled machine. What do you make of compliments like that from a manager like that?
Any compliments you get in this game, you take quite happily, and you weigh them up against the less favourable comments. But it doesn't surprise me. I mean, managers analyse their opponents, and we've played very good games against Liverpool anyway up to now in the time I've been with Crystal Palace. So I'm not surprised that he has some respect for us and regards us as a team that is not going to be a complete pushover. But I'm pretty sure too that he's confident that with the firepower and the quality of players and the amount of choice he has as well, that I'm sure he's preparing a victory, and it could so easily have been a victory parade, but now he might have to wait until Man City play again a couple of times.
I think I'm right in saying that the Crystal Palace average age of the first team squad is the highest in the Premier League. How important for you has it been to have players perhaps more experience you've been able to select from than perhaps some of the younger players that have made the headlines in the Premier League this year?
Well, you need both in a team. You need a balance. You certainly need your experienced players, and you need players who are good enough to do the job. And quite often, some of those players that you regard as good enough to do the job won't be in the first flash of youth. But ideally, you'll have a balance. Our balance has been skewed somewhat towards senior players, but that's quite simply because we don't judge the players that we've tried to sign and players that we're interested in purely in terms of their age. Young players don't necessarily make you better or worse, and this, as is the case with older players. We're fortunate that the players we've been able to attract to the club and buy, and the players in particular that I found when I got here, had the qualities required to become a good football team that we've, I think, shown that we are. But I know that the club are concerned and interested that we can't go on like this forever and expect the same guys as they get older and older to keep doing the same job. So I'm pretty certain that in recruitment discussions we do discuss the fact that maybe some of the players that we look to recruit in future may have to be a bit younger and give the club the service that so many of the ones we're using at the moment have given us. They've given fantastic service for many, many years, and they're still doing so.
And finally, Roy, you've been manager of Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp has finally delivered the title to them, albeit 2 more wins to do it, after 30 years. What sort of pressure were you under, or what sort of pressure were Liverpool managers under to achieve that title?
Yeah, I mean, the pressure's been there all the time. I mean, I think more other managers than myself, because my time there was so short, and what's more, it came at a time when the club was changing ownership. So in actual fact, at that time, no one was 100% certain about which direction the club would take, because the owner, John Henry, who came in, was obviously looking at the situation and making decisions. I think that he's made some very, very good decisions. I think that he's been very good for the club. He's certainly done with the club what the people of Liverpool want. And I just have to accept that my time there was never going to work out, probably, because I didn't get enough good results at the beginning to make John Henry and his partners 100% convinced that I'd been chosen. I wasn't chosen by them. The people who'd chosen me made the right choice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to Ian Abrahams from TalkSport.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Good. 4 straight wins and no goals conceded. I know managers love clean sheets. So how amazed have you been by how well your defence have done?
Yeah, not amazed. I mean, more than satisfied. Very, very happy. The reason we like clean sheets is because when you get one, you can't lose. And more often than not, if you've got some decent players in your team, you get victories. That's why managers talk so often about clean sheets. It's not because we have some hang-up that a clean sheet per se is something that's we dream of. We dream of victories, and clean sheets are what give us those victories. But the defence has been good throughout. I think our record is pretty good. We had one severe wobble at Tottenham when we got beat by 4 goals. But apart from that, we've been pretty tight in most of our games, and we know we're strong in that area. And it's not just the defence; it's the whole team. And I would say in particular against Bournemouth on Saturday, we saw that how well the front three worked to make life difficult for them, and how well that tied in with our midfield and our defenders to keep a clean sheet.
You mentioned before Liverpool and City being flagship teams in the Premier League. City, I think, in the last couple of years have been the ultimate test. Are Liverpool that now, that ultimate test?
No, both are still. I mean, they're slightly different in their style of play, and they pose, slightly different challenges. But they both provide you with a challenge which is, if not insurmountable, one that's going to, cause you plenty of concern, because there's so much quality in both of those two teams that you've got to try and find a way with your team of combating that quality. So I think it'd be wrong to make comparisons. You're just talking about two very, very good teams. And last year it was a fight to the wire, and Man City took it. And this year Liverpool have kicked on, I suppose, or maybe they'll say just had a bit more of the rub of the green, which has given them the chance to make it their title this season, to make it their title in a very convincing way.
A year is a long time in football. This time last year, every day you were probably being asked, and we were talking about, will Wilfried Zaha stay at Palace? If you get into Europe between now and the end of the season, will that conversation be absolutely null and void during this summer? I mean, if you're in Europe, Wilfried would be delighted to stay, wouldn't he?
Well, I think you've got to take every situation as it develops in football, and there's no point in speculating what may or may not happen. I've said all along, and will continue to say for as long as I possibly can, that Wilf Zaha is a very important member of our team and our club. He's done fantastic things for Crystal Palace Football Club, for me in my 3 years, but for managers before me too. So, we all appreciate his talents enormously. And I don't think there's anybody at Crystal Palace Football Club that would like to see him leave. And we've got to hope, I guess, that he sees things the same way. And I think the better we can do, the more we can improve, the more perhaps we can put together a squad next year which looks strong on paper. Maybe those things will persuade him that maybe the grass isn't so green elsewhere, and that it's still pretty green where he's playing at the moment.
One last one from me. Behind closed doors is not the only unique thing about football these days. Summer football. We're in starting off, or in the midst of a heat wave this week. How's that going to be an impact on the game tomorrow night? I mean, it's not often players are playing at this time of year. It's certainly in the temperatures that we're going to be seeing. I know it'll be slightly cooler tomorrow night, but the kind of temperatures we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it does make a difference. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I'm used to summer football because of the years in Scandinavia and even in Switzerland. We played a lot of summer football. So it does have an effect, there's no doubt, when you're playing, especially in the heat of the day, and around the 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock marks, even some games 12:30. The players are going to be aware of it. It is going to slow them down somewhat. But in that respect, I think the drink breaks that the Premier League have introduced are very wise breaks to introduce, because that will help to some extent the players rehydrate, which is going to be of vital importance to them. And once again, all of these things that are being maybe flagged up now as minor, well, they're not minor changes, but they are changes to our normal routine. They're all changes that we welcomed, because without them, we couldn't have got the league playing again. We couldn't have got people on the field. We couldn't have got these matches played. And if the price you have to pay is, it's going to be a bit hotter, and it won't be that easy for you, and it's going to be empty stadia, which isn't as much fun as playing in front of crowds. That's the price we pay to make certain this season gets finished and gets finished properly, so that when at the end of the season there are teams relegated and teams playing in Europe, that's been decided purely on their footballing merit. And I think that was vitally important.
Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay, we've got one more broadcast question from Robert Ellis. Robert, are you there?
Yeah, hi Roy. Just final question just on Liverpool that you touched upon there. Of all the things that Jurgen's managed to achieve at Liverpool, whether it be his transfer policy, whether it be the tactics, whether it be the emotion that he's brought, what do you point towards as the reason that he's been the man to finally deliver that success at Anfield?
Well, that's a complicated question, of course, and what's it's asking me to make comments about someone who I can't say that I know that well. My dealings with him, even from the time when I was with England, have been very good, and I've always found him very supportive in those moments. So really, you're asking me a question which I suppose any fan could answer too. There's no doubt he's done a fantastic job. I think his personality and I think his energy and his enthusiasm have been a massive ingredient at Liverpool. I think the way that he's worked so hard to embrace the culture and make himself aware of not only what Liverpool Football Club is, what Liverpool Football Club is to the city of Liverpool and how the city of Liverpool functions. I think he's done a fantastic job in that respect. And then, of course, he's brought to the club all of the skills that he had at Borussia Dortmund, all the things that have made him into a really, really top-class coach. He's brought those skills with him, and they were the reason, I guess, why Liverpool went to him in the first place and asked him to be manager of the club. So when Liverpool lift the title this year, I think that's going to be a remarkable accolade for him and for all the players. But I guess it will also be an accolade for the owners, Henry and Werner, who've backed him so well and enabled him perhaps to establish his style of play and to bring in the type of players that he thought were very important to establish that style of play. And I would be surprised if he didn't himself acknowledge the fact that he's got the backing that he needed, the backing he deserved, and it's come up trumps because he's produced the title, which has been 30 long years in the waiting.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay, that concludes the